for them, so we'll be able to get it to them if they miss it. But why do I have two websites? And really, the reason we do this presentation on this is because, agents, they ask us this question all the time. Both Andrew and myself, we do a lot of Keller Williams family reunions, the mega camps, office visits. We've really been all over the place, and agents are always confused. They've heard, well, one's for buyers, one's for sellers. They've heard all these things, and really we want to get down to it and talk about, why do you have two websites? And the quick answer, we joked about it earlier, is it's for choice. And it's because, Keller Williams wants to give you the tools that you need to succeed in your business. And for some agents, that may be, look, I'm an agent that works off referrals. I just want a website to be credible on the internet, something that's set it and forget it, has all the tools that it needs to, to perform. While the other agent may say, I'm looking for something that's customizable, something that I can earn some SEO credit, something I can drive traffic to. And so today what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and go over these two websites that you do have, which one, does what, and really focus on the features, the benefits, and so that you can then make an educated decision on, is it website 1, is it website 2, is it both of them, etc. So before we get started, I want to do kind of a quick temperature check on the room. And I want to talk about the concept of lead generation. I mean, that's really why we have websites, right, is lead generation. The point of having a website, it's, number one, you have your website. We've got this chain that I'm going to have Andrew write out here that will kind of help us through this. So you've got website. Okay, that's the first step. The second step to having a website is getting found. Okay, your website needs to get found for the consumer to actually use it. And then once it gets found, you want the consumer to stay. Okay, you want them to stick. So you got to have a good stickiness, exactly. So you want to have a good website presence, and once they stick or they stay, you want them to click. And your click is typically your property search, because that's why the consumer's coming to your website. It's to search homes. So they click, and then you want them to lead capture. I mean, that's really, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do with these websites. We want to generate leads from them, right? And then once they lead capture, ultimately they would turn into a appointment, or a butt in your car, I like to say, showing them houses. And then from appointment, you're going to write a contract, and the 8th step in this chain link is to get a gross commission income. Would everyone agree that that is the goal of having a website in this room?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we're all on the same page. We're all in the right room. So let's get some introductions out of the way. This is Andrew Keel. Andrew has assisted over 10,000 agents with their KW websites. He's a KW Technology Pro. He has been with Brandco and been the sales manager since 2010, and he is an agent branding specialist. That's really Andrew's specialty here is, branding your presence online. So talking about, that stickiness, getting the consumer to stay, and as well as some of the SEO stuff that we'll get into, which is getting found on the internet.
And this is Grant Worthen. He's the sales manager at WolfNet. He's worked with thousands of agents integrating the WolfNet Technologies IDX, which is the property search feature on your website. He's worked with over 450 MLSs. He also is going to help you with generating that click and generating that lead capture phase. So this chain right here, there can't be any kink in that chain or everything's going to go wrong. So he's really going to help you out with integrating that property search feature.
So Andrew mentioned that I'm with WolfNet. Who in here is familiar with what WolfNet is? Is anyone not familiar with what WolfNet is? A couple people? Okay, so I'm going to talk about real quickly before we actually get started about what WolfNet is, because WolfNet's something we will mention throughout this process. On the internet with your website, again, we talked about the goal is to have a website, get found, stick, click. Well, the click piece and the lead capture, that's the property search. Okay, so there's two pieces to every website in real estate. There's the website itself, and there's the property search, okay? And the property search piece is actually WolfNet. It's WolfNet IDX, and it's integrated into the website. So while you don't see the WolfNet name, it is actually the property search that is using the MLS in the Amelia Island Board of Realtors or Northeast Florida, whichever MLS you might be in, inside your website. So that's where consumers are actually searching for homes. And the WolfNet IDX, WolfNet's actually been a part of your tech fees that you pay since 2008. So as a Keller Williams agent, you pay tech fees each month. I'm sure you're familiar with those. Your e-agency tech fees and your e-edge tech fees. So the WolfNet IDX, your property search, which is in your e-agency website, that is actually something you get for free through the tech fees you already paid. So for those of you that don't know what WolfNet IDX is, that's what it is. And we're going to show you a little later how to set up your WolfNet IDX if you haven't yet. It's actually very simple, and again, it's free through the tech fees that you already paid. Okay, so now as we're getting started, we're talking about these websites. Again, I talked about how you have e-agency tech fees, which is over here on the left, and you have e-edge tech fees, which your e-edge tech fees cover your lead and transaction management system and your market leader website. Now we're going to try really, really hard today not to call this an e-edge website, because technically it is not the e-edge website. It's a market leader website. E-edge, what a lot of agents don't understand, is actually your lead and transaction management system. So it has your 33 touch campaigns in it. It's got all of your dashboard stuff on the KW intranet, etc. And what's important to note is that both of your websites, whatever one you choose, whether it's the e-agency, whether it's the market leader, or both, they both route your leads into the e-edge system. So a lot of agents have, once e-edge launched, they thought, well, so e-edge launched, so I'm supposed to get rid of my e-agency website, I'm supposed to move over to the market leader website, because that's what's working with my e-edge system. That's not correct, actually. A lot of agents don't realize that. So both of these systems are routing leads into e-edge. Make sense? All right, cool. So some of you have seen this website. Probably all of you have seen this. Does this look familiar to you? So this is your market leader website. This was over on that right-hand side that I showed you. Your market leader website, the template here, or the look and feel you're seeing, this is fairly standard across the whole Keller Williams system. So you never will really see a market leader website that looks different from one another, and that's done on purpose. In fact, the only things that you can change here are you can change your photo, your contact information, and then this photo here right in the middle. So that's done for a reason. What we found is that with the e-agency website, a lot of agents went into that e-agency website administration, which is on the back end. When you log into your KW intranet, you can go into e-agency website administration, and we'll show you that. But they went in there and they started customizing their e-agency website, because that's what it was designed for, was to customize and build it into a niche type website. And they went in there and they started to really mess with things, with the lead capture, with the pages, with the design, and they started to break them. So up here, you've got your website, you've got getting found. They started to break here. And what happened is when you break this chain, you can't get the gross commission income. So if you mess with something and screw it up, which a lot of agents were going down that road, getting far into the website and then giving up, because it actually can be a little tricky to work with, they were breaking it. So again, the market leader website, there are a few options to customize and few ways to get confused, and that was done for a reason. It also lives on a subdomain, .kwrealty.com. Has anyone seen that domain, .kwrealty.com? A few of you? Okay, so I want to explain what a subdomain is. What it means is a subdomain it's a piece of the domain separated by a dot. So it's like first name, last name, johnsmith.kwrealty.com. That's a subdomain, whereas a regular domain would be johnsmith.com. Okay? And the important thing to understand is that if your domain is on a subdomain, like kwrealty.com, it's near impossible to earn any SEO credit. Okay, so you're actually breaking this chain on the get found section. So it's done that way, again, for a reason, because it can be kind of tricky to set up a website on a domain name, and a lot of agents were having issues with that with the agency website. So it's built on a subdomain. And then there's limited ability to add pages or unique content. Again, they want to keep this website platform in a state where it's going to work. It's going to capture leads, it's turnkey, and it's going to do what it needs to do, and they've set it up for you so you don't go in and mess it up. Okay? Let's go on to the e-agency website.
Yeah, I'll chat a little bit about the e-agency site. So this e-agency site used to be the only website offered to KW agents, like Grant was saying. It has a lot of customization features to it, so there's a lot that you can mess up. Has anybody around here logged into that agent website admin tool and maybe added a picture that was too big or messed something up? Maybe? Yes? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so there's some features that, it can be complex, and, your forte is real estate, not web design or anything like that. So But the eAgency site does have these capabilities. So there's multiple templates. There's like 35 templates in the Agent Website Administration tool. There's different landscapes you can choose from, whether you want a beach scene or a lake scene or a mountain scene. You can choose these different templates. The eAgency site, similar to your Market Leader website, is sitting on a subdomain of yourkwagent.com. So let me show you a little bit here about the subdomain piece. So a lot of you are familiar with like a www.yourdomain.com, right? So this piece right here is a subdomain. So a lot of these eAgency sites and the Market Leader sites will have something like andrewkeel.KW Realty or yourkwagent.com. So this piece right here is that subdomain piece. And like Grant was saying, when your site is set up, these are just temporary domains. Just how they come out of the box, they're set up on this subdomain of that core domain name there. That is a Keller Williams domain. So also this eAgency site has the ability to have pages added to it. So you can create community pages and other pages, per whatever your niche is or something like that. The eAgency site is also powered by the WolfNet IDX, and the WolfNet IDX is synced with the KW My Mobile app. So this eAgency website is powered by the WolfNet IDX that syncs with the KW My Mobile app.
So I want to point out something that's really important here, is that just like the Market Leader website, this site is also set up on a subdomain, okay, .yourkwagent.com. With Google and how SEO works, so SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. It basically means the ability or likelihood of your website to be found on the internet. Whatever is before the .com is what you're earning SEO on. So guess who owns this domain name right here? yourkwagent.com. That's Keller Williams International. So if you have not set up your domain name properly, and if you're still on a .yourkwagent.com domain name, you're giving all of your credit, all of your search engine optimization, all of your Google juice to Keller Williams International. And they don't want that. That's not what they intended. So this site does have the ability, you can set up what's called a CNAME, and we're not going to get into showing you how to set up the domain name today because that would add about 45 minutes to this presentation. But if you leave a business card, we'll give you a link to a video that shows you how to set up your domain name properly, and we'll show you that later too. So as Andrew just mentioned, the My Mobile app is actually tied to the eAgency website. Who in here is using the My Mobile app? Can you see a show of hands? Okay. So we have a few of you. Earlier I asked who's using the WolfNet IDX. What I want to point out here is actually a couple things. So your WolfNet IDX, again, is powering your eAgency website. Your Market Leader website has its own IDX, which is the Market Leader IDX. Again, both are flowing leads into the eEdge system. So whichever one you choose, both will flow leads in there. But what I want to point out is basically the process a consumer goes through when they're on their internet, depending on which website platform you're using. So once the My Mobile app launched and got tied to these websites, basically what happens is when a consumer, let's say you run into a consumer, I'll just do a real world scenario actually. Let's say you run into a consumer in the grocery store today, and they go, and it's someone you haven't seen for 5-10 years, and you tell them, yeah, I'm in real estate now, and they're like, oh, I'm looking for new property. Chances are you're going to tell them, okay, here's my card, go to my website, you can search properties on my website, right? So they want to search properties, and let's say that consumer goes to your website, and you're using the Market Leader. Actually, we'll do the eAgency website. So they go to your website on the eAgency platform, and they start searching for homes. So they're searching for homes in Amelia Island, homes between $300,000 and $400,000 with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Let's say they find a listing they really like. Okay, so they add it to a favorites folder because they want to start adding favorite homes into a favorites folder. I'm sure you've seen consumers do that before. And now let's say that they did that. They were in their office searching for homes. But then tomorrow, let's say they come back to your website and they're on a mobile device like an iPad or an iPhone. I mean, consumers are using mobile devices a lot to search for properties these days. And they go back to your website address and you're, again, using this eAgency website. What will actually happen is that eAgency website will auto-detect that they're on a mobile device, it will say, hey, please download my mobile app. And you can search homes on the go with the mobile app. Okay, so you're using your mobile app. And when they actually download the mobile app, that favorite property they saved today on the eAgency website will actually be in their mobile app already once they create their profile on the mobile app. So the two are communicating back and forth. Now I want to flip this scenario a little bit. Let's say that you've determined that you don't want to be an SEO wizard. You don't want to, customize your website and go through that whole process. And you're more or less using the Market Leader website for, to have that online presence, to have all the systems already set up for you and, turnkey ready to go. The one thing I want to point out is that you still cannot neglect the eAgency website because of the mobile app. And what do I mean by that? I mean, let's flip this scenario and say that the consumer now goes to the mobile app and they save a favorite property on them, or let's say they save a search on the mobile app for homes in Amelia Island between $300,000 and $400,000 because they want to get listing alerts, right? You all have used listing alerts with the MLS that sends out the automated emails. The mobile app does that too. Now, so they set up the save search on the mobile app for listing alerts, and then they get an email with those homes that match their criteria. Guess what website and what property search they go back to if they click on one of those to actually view it? They go to the eAgency website. So if you're using the Market Leader website, you cannot neglect the eAgency website. You have to make sure that these platforms, both of them, are set up properly, okay? So we're gonna talk about setting up these websites properly now. Does that make sense, and do we have any questions at this point yet? Made sense? I know that's a little confusing to just think about how this whole process works, but if you have questions, definitely ask. Okay, so now that we know that we can't, neglect either one or the other websites, we need to make sure all the systems are set up properly. So we're going to talk about turning on your My Mobile app if you haven't yet, and turning on your WolfNet IDX. And again, these are tools that you have through your tech fees you're already paying. Okay, these don't cost you any additional money. They're tools you have through your tech fees. So in your KW Intranet, I will log into one live here in a minute and actually show you this. There is a section 4.5. Now this is where you would actually turn on your mobile app, okay, if you haven't yet. So in section 4.5, you'll see a button that says Save, and then it'll have your MLS here. This one says Orlando South. Yours would most likely say Amelia Island. So you'll click the Save button, and then you'll get a mobile URL, a mobile text code, and a My Agent code, and a QR code. But what I want you to focus on is the box that says, yes, send mobile visitors to my personalized KW mobile app downloader page. And what that does is, remember when we talked about that scenario of a consumer being in the office, they go to search properties on your website, and then but tomorrow they go back on a mobile app and they're asked to download the My Mobile app? That's what this checkbox does. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you an eAgency website on the internet. So comehome2boston.com. Now, I will point out this is an eAgency website that's been customized a little bit and had a rebranding done to it, made it look real nice through Brandco. But I'm going to go to this website on my phone now. So what will happen is when I type in this website address, Janet Picaro, you'll see it's telling me to download her mobile app. Okay, that's because it auto-detected. This website actually auto-detects that I'm on a mobile device or an iPad, and it says, hey, download my mobile app. So that's how the two are communicating, is by that checkbox in 4.5. Does that make sense? So let me show you where this is. So all of you should know how to log into your KW Intranet. If you don't, you're in trouble. You'll hover to the home and then Agent Website Admin. Okay? Once you click Agent Website Admin, you will then have your Agent Website Administration tool that will pop up. So Home and then Agent Website Admin. And when I scroll down, I'll see section 4.0. I'll click 4.0 and I'll click 4.5. Now this is where we turn on the mobile app. Okay? And you all have a mobile app that's branded to you. All the leads generated through it go into your eEdge account and are actually synced up with that eAgency website. Now, one of the things I want to point out, and here's that checkbox too, yes, send mobile visitors, so make sure you check that box. One of the things I want to point out though is that if you have turned on your mobile app and you have not yet turned on your WolfNet IDX, this mobile app is being powered by KWLS data, the KW listing service. So it's only got Keller Williams listings in it. Okay? And that's really important to be aware of, because that means that if you're using the KW mobile app with only Keller Williams listings, and a consumer actually asks you a question or inquires about one of those listings, guess who that lead goes to? It doesn't go to you. It goes to that agent, because they're the listing agent. And Keller Williams' model is my listings, my leads. Okay? So what we're going to do to fix that is we're going to go to 4.0 and 4.1. And on section 4.1, this is where you add your IDX search. And it's pretty simple. You'll select your MLS, and then there will be a button here that says, yes, set up my eAgency IDX powered by WolfNet, and you'll just click sign up. Now that has sent the request to Keller Williams International and WolfNet to set up your IDX, and then what you have to do, there is a second step, and it's you have to fill out MLS paperwork with AINCAR, the Amelia Island Board.
Leave you alone with it.
What's that?
Said it won't leave you alone with it.
Yeah, I know, there's a fly just bugging me.
Yeah.
So once you actually have to set up that MLS paperwork or sign that MLS paperwork and send it to the MLS. You can it will prompt you to download it once you've signed up for your WolfNet IDX, or I'm sure the Market Center administrator or maybe team leader would have it. Yeah. So you'll fill out your MLS paperwork, you'll send that to the MLS, and then we will just automatically enable it. It'll automatically populate to your site. Question?
I'm online right now on the 4.5,
Yep.
and it does not, are we considered Jacksonville Beach?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know
And
the different MLS
well,
systems?
And that's a good question too. If some of you are members of different MLSs, that might say different things. So are you just a member of Amelia Island or Jacksonville too?
Amelia Island only.
Okay.
See, this is the only one that comes up.
I'm a member of both, and mine comes up Jacksonville Beach.
I think it considers it Jacksonville Beach.
I think
That's
that's
the
the
office.
office.
That's the main office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you guys bring that fly with you, or what?
I don't know. Bugging.
Just save.
Yeah, I said Jack's Beach.
If you don't have the button that says yes, set up my eAgency IDX powered by WolfNet, that means you're already set up with your WolfNet IDX. Okay? Gosh, this fly is just
Just walk out. Walk out for a second.
Oh, walk out with it.
Yeah, just try to get them to follow you up.
You know.
You have a pet fly.
There you go.
He's an animal.
And I think it's just
Loves that
yours.
beautiful
It's
hair.
relentless.
I know. Likes my hair gel.
Must be those great hair products.
Okay. So
Under here.
Okay, so now when we've set up our mobile app and we've set up our IDX, basically we've got the tools for the lead capture set up. Now we need to actually work on the getting found. So what I'm going to have Andrew do is he's going to go over some domains, looking at your business center and the agents and how they're set up, and show some examples.
Sure. So first off, who in here has purchased a domain name? For you, GoDaddy, Network Solutions, raise your hand. Don't be scared. Good, good.
I didn't hear what you said.
Who has purchased a domain name?
I got a bunch.
Good, good. That's the hard part. All right.
Right here with me. Brandon has over 700 domain names.
Yeah. So that's the hard part is purchasing the domain name. You know, figuring out which one you want to go with. But when I go here to the Market Center or the business page, the Business Center page here,
No, you didn't.
and I scroll down, you'll see that a lot of people don't have their domain names set up properly. And this Market Center page, by the way, whenever someone, this page right here with all of the agents listed on here, this gets viewed thousands of times every month. So the majority of people going to this are either looking for their current agent and researching them and finding information about their current agent, or it's another agent from Denver, Colorado, or across the country looking for an agent here in this local area
Placing a referral.
to place a referral.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So if they're looking through this page here, and I have to give you props, this Business Center page, you all do have a photo, or the majority of you do have a photo, but there's some ways you need to optimize this page. One, adding a photo. I noticed earlier when I went through here that the majority of you do have a photo, but like Jerry here does not. But that's something. And by the way, I'm going live here. I'm pulling live examples. So if anyone in this room, if you get called out as one of the examples, we're gonna help you get back to
Please don't
getting
run out
right.
if you're crying.
Yeah.
I would love for you to use mine as an example and see if it works, because I did have a domain, then I went
And I
back to
do
this
right
one.
there.
And I'll go through and I'm going to show you some live examples, and then after the class I'll be able to answer individual questions as well. But yeah, so adding a photo on here is going to be key. If you're looking to refer an agent to someone, you want to make sure that they're taking their business seriously. So
Jerry made me better off without a photo.
Yeah.
so number 2 now.
Jessica does.
Number 2 that's most important on this this agent list here. We want to make sure that it's your phone number that's on the page. You don't want to add the Market Center photo. So just like Grant was saying earlier here, if an agent call or a potential lead calls in and says, hey, I want some more information about 123 Main Street, and that's another agent in your office's listing, that's lead's going to go to that listing agent, right? Your leads, your listing, your leads. So you want to make sure that you don't have the Market Center photo or the Market Center phone number
I
over
see
here.
a lot of 9800s there.
You see, so all of these are just going straight to the Market Center instead of going to that individual.
So
agent.
let's think about that for a second.
Once they go
Let's
there, they're gone
let's say
forever.
a consumer
Mine does.
let's say a consumer Googles, Keller Williams, Amelia Highland. They're gonna get your website, right? The office website. And then they're gonna click on associates to look at the agents. And let's say they have found a property that they have a question about. When they call that 9800 number and they ask about 1234 Main Street and it happens to be Jerry's listing, who's the admin up front gonna transfer that call to?
Jerry first.
Right, but what if they had actually looked at the profile for Carrie and dialed that phone number for Carrie because they wanted to work with Carrie and they asked about Jerry's listing? It's gonna go to Jerry,
And you
right?
lost it.
So it's really, really important you put your cell phone numbers in there. I assume all of you have cell phones?
What's a cell phone?
But that's an important piece. Putting your best foot forward here on this Market Center roster.
Would you go down a little bit? I wanted to make sure my number was a cell phone number.
And you do this
Yeah,
through the
mine
KW
too.
White pages, so it's very simple to do.
No?
So it
No,
looks like it is
mine.
there.
How do I change that?
Yeah, how do we change it?
The Keller Williams White pages, you can change your phone number.
And we can show you how, after in a little bit here.
Yep.
But the most important thing here also that I want you to notice is several of these agents, if you look through here, you'll notice that their domain names are set up on that subdomain of your KW agent that
Yeah.
we spoke about earlier. So first off, you're gonna look at their photo, make sure that's set up. Then you're gonna look and see if their phone number, if it's just the Market Center phone number, or if it's their individual one. And then if you look at their domain name and they're using that subdomain, it's a temporary domain. That's what it was set for, so you can change it. So that's a temporary domain. And this is all edited as well. But what the point here is that you can change that on the eAgency site, and I'll look at a lot of these. So let me show you here. Let's check out Mary Bunk. So you'll see here it's just that subdomain, marybunk.yourkwagent.com, right? So Google is indexing this page on yourkwagent.com, right? So it's not on that subdomain. So then if we look at another example, there's a couple.
That means that Google, when he says the word indexing, what he means is that Google actually goes out to every single website and it looks at all the content on that website, and then it asks itself, how relevant is this site and this domain name to the things that are being searched in the Google search field, right? So if the website domain is marybunk.yourkwagent.com, when Google goes and sees all that information on Mary Bunk's website, guess what? It's not on Mary Bunk's website, it's on .yourkwagent.com. So that's ranking .yourkwagent.com up.
Yeah, so basically she's getting 0 pages ranked on Google. So that's one way, and we'll show you here how to change that. Another way, so when you buy a domain name, you can do several things with that. And I'm going to show you an example here. If we look at Russell's site here, it says rustyacree.com, right? So that's not on a subdomain. It looks like it is set up correctly. When I click on this, notice it still says rustyacree.com. So it looks like it's forwarded to his domain and it's not on that subdomain piece. But if you notice when
Looks like it's on his domain name. Forward is
yeah, so it looks like it's set up properly, but it's not. How you can tell this is if I scroll down over here, over buyer's resources or seller's resources, you can look down here at what the true URL is. And it says rustyacree.yourkwagent.com.
Okay.
So it's called masking the domain, and you can do that through GoDaddy, Network Solutions, wherever you purchase your domain name from.
So basically what Rusty's doing is he's giving the consumer the impression that he's got his own domain name, which is good. So he's, for credibility purposes, he's set up right. But not for Google, okay? Because Google sees through that and sees, oh, he's just hiding that his site is actually on .your KW agent still, okay? So this isn't good for getting found. We're still not getting found here, so that part of the puzzle is broken.
And notice, when I went from the home page to an interior page, that the domain hasn't changed. There's no, permalink or tail on that domain. It's always that, because Google's masking
Again,
it.
he's just totally hiding the fact that it's actually not on his domain name.
Exactly. So, let's
and,
go.
And by the way, a lot of agents in this office are doing that right there. A lot of them. So he's not the only one.
So you need to make sure your domain's set up properly. Now, I'm going to show you how you can track how many pages Google is ranking you for, and how you can track that. So
So essentially what he's doing here is he's showing you the effects of setting up your domain name improperly.
So let's take Rusty here, Rusty Acree. How you can track how many pages Google is seeing for your site is you go to Google and you type in SITE : yourdomainname.com, which would
RustyAcree.com.
Yep, just
RUSTY.
there we go.
So this is
So if we pull this up here, this is how many pages Google is seeing. If you look in the results here, you'll see there's only one result. So there's only one point of entry Google sees for people to access your site. So if we look at the grand scheme of things and we search, say, Amelia Island real estate, wouldn't you say that's a pretty common term that people would search? Amelia Island real estate?
Yeah.
How many pages do you think are out there? How many different websites do you think are out there
27 million.
for Amelia Island real estate? Let's check it out here. I can spell today. Yeah, so there is 1,370,000 pages out there for Amelia Island real estate. And Rusty only has one. So if you think about that, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than showing up on a Google search results page because you're only ranking for that one single page when your domain name is set up incorrectly. So now let's look at another option. And I know Doug here, we've done some work with him, so let's check out Doug's site. If we scroll down here, we'll see that Doug, so far so good, has his picture set up, everything's looking sharp. It says DougMacklesAmelia.com, so it's not set up on a subdomain. If we go ahead and click here, you'll see his site is showing up great. If we scroll over these additional pages, you'll see that it's all still on Doug Mackles Amelia. So he does have a CNAME set up, so his domain name is set up correctly. So out of the box, this eAgency website will give you about 29 pages. And it's all just stock content that they put into all of the sites. So that's not going to really give you a boost over anyone else because there's 100,000 Keller Williams agents out there that have the same content on all of their eAgency sites. So that you'll get 29 pages out of the bat. So let's see here, if we do the site colon trick to Doug's site, how many pages he is indexing or ranking for. So, 54 results. So just by, I think Doug has added a blog post, added some pages to his site, but just out of changing your domain naming, setting your domain name up properly, you can go from one page to, 29, or he's added a couple pages, so 1 to 59, or 54. So he's jumped, and Google is now seeing 54 entry points to his website just because he's set that domain name up properly and added a couple pages to that eAgency site. So that just shows you how you can, index and get more views out there.
So I think
What about the snakes?
Don't tell them about the snakes.
I think the key here is that, you know, right now we're focusing on this piece of getting found. And, you know, when consumers are going to Google and they're searching terms like Amelia Island real estate, essentially what is happening behind the scenes is Google is going out, it's scanning all the websites that are set up properly to begin with, and it's saying who's the most relevant to that term that is being searched. Who am I gonna produce and help get found? And someone who has only one page that can be found in the internet, basically that whole site colon thing, that's telling Google, hey, return to me how many pages of my website you can find. Someone who has one is really, really doing themselves a disadvantage on this get found piece. They really can't get found. Because the only page that's showing up is their home page. It's none of the interior pages that has any information about Amelia Island real estate. Okay? Someone who has 54, they're doing a much better job. And when the e-agency site out of the gate has 30 that you don't have to do anything for, I mean you just get those 30 as long as your domain's set up right, by not setting up your domain name right, you're really doing yourself a disadvantage. So again, we're going to send you that video and show you this step of getting found, how to get your domain name set up right. And now what is cool here is when we actually do that search, and then I'll let Andrew get into showing content, but when we actually do that Google search, so when I go to Google and I type in Amelia Island real estate. So again, Andrew showed us there's about 2 million results. I was looking at this earlier, and I looked at this this first result here under Trulia, villasofameliaisland.com. So this website here, I'm not sure who owns this, but I'm going to do a site colon on this site real quick, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. villasofameliaisland.com. Let me copy that URL. We'll go back to Google.
So now compared to Randy's, which was only one,
So
Doug's, which was 54.
this is how many pages that site
1470,
has.
yeah.
1,400. Okay, so we went from 1 to 54, set up properly, to 1,400. Now, as you can see with the Google results, this particular agent, whoever it may be, has created tons of content and gotten their website real big so it can be found. So this person who's getting found is getting more, more sticks, more clicks, and probably in the end more gross commission income.
It's the plantation where you're having your seminar with.
Is it?
Yeah,
Megan
that's a
Amos,
plantation.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I
all
mean,
day.
they're doing a fantastic job. So what we want to show you how to do at the individual agent level, though, is get to something like this. And it's actually quite simple. It's going to sound hard at first, but we'll show you how you can actually get here and really help yourself get found more to get more leads. So,
Yeah, so who in here currently is blogging? Is anybody a blogging? Anybody a fan of blogging?
I saw a lot of frowns.
Frowns, everybody
Who
was
wants to blog? Who loves
Yeah.
blogging?
a lot of head shakes, right?
I like to do it, but I just haven't had much time to do it. So.
Yeah, and you gotta find time. And the fact of the matter is that you all, every day, probably write, 30, 40 emails? Yeah? And all of the content in those emails, think of what it's about. HOA questions, rules and regulations, code designations,
Assessments,
there's a
taxes,
ton of different things.
Millions.
All of the content in those emails are SEO gold. That unique content that you write every single day, if you could take that and reformat that and put a blog post on your site, would be gold for the search engines. And that's where you can get your topics for your articles. It's very, very easy. And I'm going to show you right now how easy it is to post a blog to your page. So, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar. This is Kathy and Neil McGinnis, listtosell.com. Branco's done a customization to their e-agency site. But if we go in here, I'm going to show you a service called the Piggyback Blog. It's $99 a year. It is an additional enhancement that you can add to this e-agency site. But if we go right in here to their blog, I'll show you it's just a piece of their website. So basically what I'll do is I'm logged into their page. And once you add this service, we'll give you a username and password.
Hey, before you show this, I just want to mention too, has anyone heard of WordPress before?
Yeah.
Okay, so WordPress is like one of the most highly used platforms on the internet right now, especially in real estate. In fact, I heard a statistic that 24% of all websites on the internet right now are built on WordPress.
They actually had something on NPR on it this
Did
morning.
they? And the reason is because it's so easy to use. and so powerful for generating content and traffic into your website. And basically what this piggyback blog is, I'll let the expert
Yeah.
explain, but it's taking that WordPress platform, that super powerful platform, and actually building it into your e-agency website that you get through your tech fees.
So, like Graham was just saying, ease of use is the biggest thing. Whenever you hear of WordPress, ease of use. So
He's going to show you how
I'll
easy
show
this
you
is.
here. So once you would log in, this is what your page would look like. This is the WordPress dashboard. And it can kind of look a little confusing and overwhelming with all these buttons over here, but really all you need to do is this is actually what the dashboard will look like. All you really need to do is go over here, hit posts, and add new. Now I know all of you in here can write an email, right? You all know how to write an email? Very easy, you do tons of them a day. This platform kind of looks similar to that, right? Just like an email, you have a title or a subject, and then you have a body to type in the rest of your stuff. So right in here, you would add a new post. You can add images if you want to go over to add media. Very easy to use, just like writing an email in Gmail. So I'm going to create a blog post here. I'm going to call it Jacksonville Homes for Sale.
We're doing Jacksonville because this is a Jacksonville website and we don't, yeah.
Yeah, so Jacksonville Homes for Sale. So that's the title, and I'll just write a little something here about Jacksonville. It's a great place to live. Jacksonville has great schools,
Wait, don't put that, no.
facilities. I'd make a great blog writer, right?
No, that's not one of the things they're proud of, okay?
Beaches.
Top tier
Beaches.
football team,
Jacksonville has
had a good draft, yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
There you go.
a great NFL team, and it's close to the beaches.
They bring museums,
Yeah. So
restaurants.
I'll also write in here, I'm the best realtor in Jacksonville, so please call me.
Andrew is not a professional blogger, by the way.
Call
But
me
he's
a
showing
billion.
you he's showing you
And
how
Kathy
easy
is
this
very
is.
good, and you don't follow us up well.
The point here in what he's
They
doing
are.
though is that, you know, blogging doesn't have to be, you don't have to focus on like keywords or SEO this and density that or whatever. It's just about putting some content on there. And really what it's about is just being better than the agent sitting next to you. And as it sounds like, no one in here is doing any blogging, so that's pretty easy.
Yeah,
Right?
so obviously you would be, writing a more well thought out blog article here about, like we said earlier, HOA fees or whatever the case may be. And the cool thing is you can add images, you can add YouTube videos, and it'll all display very nicely. Actually, I'll show you how to do a YouTube video right now. I don't know what the suggested videos will be here. Let's go to, let's see here.
Just grab any one of those,
Here,
doesn't matter.
bunny
Grab the
eating
bunny.
raspberries.
There you go.
Here we go. So it's as simple as this. So you find a nice video here, and say it was on a certain condominium or something. You just go right up here, you copy the URL for that video, and then you go to your blog post where we were here, right underneath the content I just wrote. You paste it right into that article. Now I just want to go over here. I could hit publish if I actually wanted to launch this on the site, or I'll just hit preview just to see what it would look like.
So the cool thing is, like, this is another real big benefit to WordPress is that there's no embed codes, there's none of that junk, linking out of your website. This is all inside your e-agency website. And the idea behind this is that you're creating content. We went 54 for pages indexed with the website, we added a blog post, now we're at 55. And blogging, the thing with blogging is, it's not about, consumers don't come to your website and go, oh, a blog, I want to click on the blog and read the blog post. That's not what happens. The goal of this is we're still in the getting found area. Because when you write an email to your buyer about assessment fees and what that means, or HOA fees and what that means, and you put that information in here, consumers are searching that in Google too. And when you show up, they come to your website, and since this is all built into your e-agency website, all of your property search and lead capture tools are in here. So they might come into this blog because they're looking for information on bunnies eating raspberries, and then they click on search properties, and there's all of your lead capture tools, and that's all tied to your e-edge, and it's tied to your mobile app. This is where all the tools are. So
this is just we just added a page right here with this blog post. And it was that easy. It took us 2 minutes. I mean, obviously you would write a more well thought out article, but we just added a page. So like we saw before on Doug's site, he was indexing for 54 pages. So we just added one page to his website. So now he has 55. We would add another blog post. Now he has 56, 57. So like we were looking at earlier, you know, if you have you're trying to get 1,400 pages on here like the top dog, that's going to take a lot of time, right? That's a lot of content, a lot of articles that you're going to have to be writing day in and day out. You'd have to be writing content to get that amount of pages indexing. So Grant's going to show you a really cool enhancement that you can add to this eAgency site to exponentially grow the number of pages you have through this piggyback blog, and it's called a WordPress plugin that Wolfnet offers, and I'll let him chat
What
about
I'm
that.
going to show you actually is I'm going to show you what that other office did that we used as an example. This example here, the Amelia Island, villasofameliaisland.com, they actually have not created 1,450 blog posts. Okay, what they're doing is they're leveraging listing content. So, have any of you ever taken on a new listing, and you go to Google and you Google the address of that listing and you see a competitor's website come up? Basically, what the competitor is doing, what that website is doing that has that listing, is they're making it so Google can see those listings on their website. Okay, and what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how this other client here or the other office is doing that, because they're doing this too. That's how they got to the 1,500. So we'll go back to Andrew's blog post right here. He's added a little bit of content. He's added a video. Now what I'm going to show you is this actually ties the MLS listings into your eAgency website and into your blogging platform. So let's say you wake up in the morning, you know you need to blog, you all said you don't like blogging and you don't know what to write about. But what you know best is you know real estate and you know listings and you know about the areas here. So let's tie some of that in here. So if I click on this little Wolfnet shortcode builder, and by the way, most of the stuff we've talked about so far is free through your tech fees that you already get. The blogging is an add-on and this piece is an add-on, and then I'm going to go into all the free Wolfnet stuff that you have as well. But this is an add-on. It's about $150 a year to add the listing content in here, but it's pretty cool. So I'll show you this real quick. The Wolfnet Pod. Now you get an option to add listings into your blog post. You can do featured listings, listing grid, property list, or quick search. And I'll do a listing grid. And since we're using the Jacksonville MLS here, I'm going to we'll set a price range. Let's pretend our blog post was about homes between $300,000 and $400,000. So minimum price $300,000, maximum price $400,000. City, Jacksonville. Oops. Okay, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click insert. So in 30 seconds I just added that. Now we're going to preview. We're going to go back to the preview. Now again, pretending this blog post was about Jacksonville listings between $300,000 and $400,000, we just added 50 listings to the blog post. Okay, pretty cool. So what's happening here, again, this is inside your eAgency website. We're still on this getting found. We're creating ways to drive traffic into your website. Now the unique thing about this is that when I go add 50 listings to this blog post, we went website 54 index pages that I showed you in Google. We added one blog post. We're at 55. But we just added 50 listings. Okay, so now we're at 105. So we just went from 54 listings to 105 listings in a matter of minutes. Or 105 pages, I'm sorry, indexed in a matter of minutes. And what will happen here, this is the magic behind it, is that this listing, when it sells, a new one will replace it. When this one sells, a new one will replace it. Google can actually see all of this content on your website, and it indexes all of these listings. Okay?
Separate pages.
So
Separate
this
pages.
doesn't drop off after a time, you just build on it?
It starts building and building and building. This blog post you just created on Jacksonville homes between $300,000 and $400,000, it will never go stale. It will always be linked up to the MLS. It will always have up-to-date content, and it will continue to build your indexed pages. So if we take a look at this site, we'll do a site colon on this site. What you'll see here is that, and again, we're looking at an eAgency website, so this is pretty amazing stuff. Site colon listtosell.com. Remember the office down the road, the Keller Williams office that had 1,500? This one has 13,200 pages. because they're utilizing these concepts of pulling in listings through the blog, getting the listings indexed by Google, which you don't even have to do anything for. Once you're doing this on your own, you're taking a little bit of time, 2 minutes to create that blog post that you already sent in an email to a client. You're adding these listings. These are naturally going to start to build, and they'll start to compound. So this will go from 105, these 50 listings, when they sell, 50 new ones will come on. If you do this every day, you'll see numbers like this. And what you'll see here is that when we scroll down, notice how listings are getting indexed here. These are actual listings coming up. This is the same concept as this office is using here that's coming up in Google, number 1. So I'll go back to the site, site colon, let's see, Villas of Amelia Island. When we do a site colon on theirs, you'll see this is the exact same thing they're doing.
So think about, we just saw a site that was indexed and was found we had one page on it. Then we saw Doug's, which had 54. Now, if we add this functionality, we just added 50 pages, so it's jumping up exponentially.
So you're see listings are coming up. That's what they're doing, is they're making, and that's what blogging and adding these listings can do, is it can make these listings so that they can be found in Google, and it will build your site bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, we'll go back to this page. So we're adding listing contents again. These will be updating. It's all dynamic. So now we've talked about the getting found. Your domain name is set up properly. You're driving traffic. You're blogging. You're adding listings, etc. Now we need to focus on getting consumers to stick. So I'm going to show you some tools that you have. These are already incorporated into your website, but I just want you to be familiar with the lead capture tools, because you should be also using these tools with your existing buyers. So we're going to go and look at the property search, and I'll run through that real quick. I'll do it on Randy's site, or Rusty, sorry. So we'll go to rustyacree.com. They enter into your website via a blog post or just some content you've created. They're going to naturally click on property search, and we'll go to the property search. Now this is your WolfNet property search that again is through your tech fees. So you all have. Ooh, maybe I should have checked that one before we used it. So maybe Rusty's isn't set up properly. Let's do. We'll go back to Doug's.
This could be embarrassing too.
It's okay, Doug, I didn't have my domain name set up right, so.
Oh, well.
Good thing you came to the class,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll use Doug's. Doug's is set up properly. Look at that.
There you go, Doug.
All right, so Doug's is set up properly. The consumer comes to Doug's website. They click on search properties. Now I just want you to get familiar with these tools you have, because really these can be used and leveraged with your existing buyers that you're working with. I mean, while you are the agent and you do show them homes and send them homes, I'm sure they're doing some searching on their own, right? So it's important that you're familiar with these tools. So the consumer will come here. They'll select an area. They'll add that area to the right-hand side. They'll narrow down their search for an Indiana Beach. They'll select their price ranges. You'll notice that my live listing count is actually going to drop as I do this. So we'll do maximum price, $450,000. Single family homes, we're dropped down to 674 right now. Now we're down to 211.
Small market.
It is a very small market. You've got about 1,200 or so listings in the MLS.
Yeah.
So they click search. Now again, they're on your website still. Here's where your lead capture tools come in. So they can request a showing, they can inquire about a listing, they can add to favorites. Again, these are all tied into the mobile apps. They're communicating back and forth. These are all routing into your eEdge system for your touch campaigns. We'll click on a listing, and everything I'm showing you here, these are tools you already have. We'll click on a listing, and I'll point out a few things here. So, number one, have a question, request a showing. This is lead capture. If the consumer has a question or they request a showing on your website, that's going to go into your eEdge account. You've got social media tools. I'm not sure, I guess I heard that the clientele here is a little bit older. Maybe they aren't on Facebook as much, but what we're finding in other markets, and still with the younger buyers maybe off island, is that younger buyers, they're not calling their 2 or 3 friends to say, hey, what do you think about this listing? They're clicking that Facebook button, and they're sharing it with 200 or 300 of their friends. So social media tools can be pretty important depending on the clientele, and we have found that when we look at all the Keller Williams property searches together combined, we look at something called viral lift rate, and it means how many clicks does it take a consumer to share a listing on Facebook to get a new consumer back to the website, and the viral lift rate is 131% right now. So for every one share of a Facebook post on your listing on your website, 1.3 new consumers are actually coming back to your website. Now think about that, that's actually pretty powerful. So if you can get consumers, if you can point this out, if you can get found on the internet, you're just going to start to build and build and build and build more traffic, which ultimately means more gross commission income. So social media tools, there are also other tools here to add properties to favorites, email listing to a friend, mortgage calculator. Again, these are going to all route into your eEdge system. So this is, and we're on this lead capture part right here that leads to the appointment in the GCI. Neighborhood data. Did you all know that you all have neighborhood data built into every listing in the MLS on your own personal websites? So we can literally click on neighborhood information, and it will give us information on the median home values for this specific neighborhood compared to the city, the county, and the national. Home appreciation charts, ages of homes owned versus homes rented. There's just tons and tons of data in here that is really powerful to use with the consumer. And all of this, again, is through your tech fees. You already have this stuff built into your IDX, or to your property search. School information. Again, I'm not sure how important schools may be around here because of the older community, and I heard that you've only worked with one buyer that had kids this year, yeah. But I mean, it's still, people are interested in this
Kids are all older though.
Okay. People are still interested in this information, over especially off the beach. If you're doing any listings over there, I mean, they want to know what the schools are like, how they rank, the neighborhood compared to the city, the county. This is on every single listing in the MLS. So there's lots of school information. There's more information here. I'm not going to go over all of it, but you really should go in here and take a look at this because there's information on the housing, the demographics, the people, the economy, the environment, the quality of life. Tons and tons and tons of data. You've got big photos, obviously all the photos for the MLS listings built in. So this is where your lead capture comes in. They're going there to search properties, whether they've entered in through a blog post or through Google or whatever it may be. They're going to click here, they're going to use your property search. But even if you're not that agent that is trying to drive traffic into your website, you should be still using this stuff with your existing clientele because it can save you a lot of time.
The problem is that we find is that we suggest to some of our folks that they use our website, oh no, we're looking on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
And Zillow is so inaccurate sometimes.
And that's really, I'll tell you two things that can combat that. Number one, I will point out that having, when you look at your property search right here compared to Zillow, what do you notice that's not here that is with Zillow?
Ads.
Well, a map, though.
Map, yeah.
Most consumers these days are searching by maps, and they want to search by maps. Okay, so even if you have 10 consumers that come to your website, Doug, and let's say you tell me that, well, yeah, but my clientele, they don't really want to search by maps. They don't like maps. It's confusing or whatever. Well, even if one or two of those 10 you get to your website and you don't have the map, that's one or two that you just lost. So that is something that I want to actually show you next, is adding a map to make it more like Zillow's search, because the mapping is key. And something you pointed out too is the lack of information that consumer has. You need to sit down with them and talk to them and say, look, Zillow is not accurate. They don't get the data from the MLS. My website is from the MLS directly. It has every listing, whereas theirs is 60% of the listing. So we need to educate the consumers too. So let's go to, I will show you a map search. Let's see here. Go back to this list to sell site, and I'm going to go to their property search. So I'm going to show you that same property search, and I'm going to use it with interactive maps. Now this actually is also, what I just got done showing you with the property search stuff, that is through your tech fees. You already have that for free. This is an enhancement. It's only $100 for the year though, or $10 a month. But it's a really important tool to have in my mind, because maps can make the difference of a consumer, using a Zillow or something else. So when we go to an interactive map search, what I can do here is I can type in a specific area. The map will actually locate to that specific area, so Jacksonville. you can look interactively and see, you know, what listings, where they're located on the map. When you actually hover over the listings, you'll see, and you can continue to zoom and pan and look, and I'm only pulling listings from Jacksonville since I typed that in, but you can change price range. It's all dynamic, so everything will work with the map just like, you know, the Zillow searches will. So we change it to 300, maybe I'll put in 250 to really narrow this down, or 260. There we go, so it's spread out a little bit because the listings are all over now. You can change different property types. You can do, you know, just foreclosures, just short sales, new listings. If I want to do listings just the last 7 days, I mean, you really have a lot of powerful tools here with your property search. And I do like, you know, having the mapping. It just adds a bit of interactivity to it and keeps the consumer on it longer. But if we actually go into a listing, let's go into this one right here. We'll show you here some tools as well. When we add the mapping to it, same exact property search details page, except for you do get some map views. You've got hybrid views, well actually maps, points of interest, you know, parks, playgrounds, restaurants, coffee shops and dining. If there are any around here, it will show them. So, you know, here's a restaurant, for example. Points of interest, you've got hybrid views, aerial views, house views, so that oblique imagery, the 45-degree angles, and then Google Street View. I don't know if, you know, any of you have played around with the Google Street View. I personally get on it and I get stuck just clicking those arrows and clicking, you know. So it's a really cool stickiness tool. And, you know, I don't think I mentioned, but my wife is a real estate agent in Minneapolis, and this is one of those tools that she uses so much in her business because we have our areas in Minneapolis, we have pockets of really nice areas and really not so nice areas. And a lot of times she'll have a client that's looking to live in a specific area, but they'll get to where that house is and they realize it's, you know, 2 blocks off of the really nice area. What she'll do with these maps is she'll tell them, I want you to get on my Google Street View and go up and down the road where that house is, so that we don't have to get in that car, get to the neighborhood, and before we even get to the house, they're telling me, oh, this isn't for me, and I just wasted my time, right? So this really can be leveraged to save you time going out and showing homes with buyers. It really can help. So the maps, yeah, I mean, they're pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go back to, now we're going to start to wrap this up here. So I'm going to show you, this actually is an analytics chart of a Google Analytics chart. It's basically showing us how much website traffic any agency website had. And a number of, let's see, it was about a year and a half ago at Family Reunion, we did a presentation with, we had an agent that joined, his name was Albie Voss. He's out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And Albie actually started to use some of these principles that we just talked about. So, you know, blogging, creating content, adding the listings, really building that site out and being consistent with it, okay? And that's the key, is that you have to be consistent with it. But we've showed you tools that you can use to make this easy for yourself. Albie, what this shows here, and it's hard to see, but the orange line is his website traffic just shortly after Family Reunion. And he had, it was from February 28th through March 17th. I believe Family Reunion was probably around the second week in February. So it's a 20-day period, and he had 496 visits to his website. This is his agency website. So that's the orange line. And when the orange line ends on February, March 17th, March 18th is where the blue line starts. That's when he started to adopt these principles, you know, creating this content, adding these listings, you know, using these tools, really. His website traffic, you can see it going up. In the next 20-day period, he increased his traffic by 138%. Okay, so he went from 496 visits to 1,100 visits in 20 days. Now, Albie's kind of crazy. He's the kind of guy who gets these type of tools, and he's like, all right, I'm going to do this, and he'll blog each day. You know, he might be doing even 1 or 2 blog posts a day. But this is what can happen. I mean, this stuff is powerful. When you have all this set up properly, when you have the website, when you're creating some content, you're getting found, you've already got the tools to capture the leads, with the exception of adding the mapping, which can significantly help with the Zillows when they're like, oh, I like the Zillow site. So I'm going to kind of recap on what we went over today, and you know what we went over, that is through your tech fees, and then what types of things are enhancements. really, we broke this down into 3 categories. The SEO, which is search engine optimization, and that's really getting found, right? The way that works in the SEO category is the Piggyback blog that Andrew talked about, and I think a few of you already have some of these tools, but the Piggyback blog, it's a $49 setup fee and just $99 per year. Now, that was when Andrew added the video, he created the blog content, and then I went in and I added the listings to the blog to get the listings indexed and to build out those pages on the website. That's the WordPress plugin, which is a $59 setup fee and just $150 per year. Now, a lot of the websites we showed you, like the Come Home to Boston site, Doug's site, for example, I think there are maybe a few others in here, have had really, nice, Brandon's, nice custom designs put or implemented on them. Now that is the stickiness, so getting the consumer to stick, you've got that nice professional feel, that's the stickiness in there. That is typically a $699 fee, it might be $599, $699-ish, I can't remember, $599 I believe. Now the reason that's a little bit more is because that's an actual, you go through a design consult with a professional designer. They build you from the ground up, your own custom look and feel to your eAgency website with custom designs. And then the last piece is adding the map tracks, the interactive map search to your property search that you're getting already through your tech fees. That's $100 for the year. If you add these up, if you actually do these separately, we are both from separate companies. He's with Brandco, I'm with WolfNet. It's about, let's see here, $699, $700 plus $150, $850, $900, $950, $1050. It's about $1,200 for all of these together. When we do these trainings, though, we do offer us to do everything for you for just $799. So it is quite a big discount if you want to do one of these packages. If you're looking at that form Andrew just handed you, that would be under the annual option, $799 for the first year. So it's typically $1,200 if you want to go ahead and get all of these set up. And then really after that, it just comes down to you going in and actually dedicating once or twice a week to create a blog post and add some of those listings and talk about your areas and add the content about assessments. That's all it takes once you have all of this set up. So it's actually very, very simple. We do also offer a monthly option as a show special too, or when we're at these trainings. And it's a $569 setup and then $35 a month. So there are 2 options if maybe you don't want to do the annual. So any questions?
So if I just wanted to add a map to mine, since I've already done the website enhancement and so forth.
You could just check one of those boxes for the mapping if you already have the refresh. So you can do them individually. It's just all of them bundled together is you can do at a discount if you don't already have some of these pieces.
Okay, can you fix this for the bleed from my Florida to my Georgia and back and forth because I'm doing the blog and everything, or can you set it up where it all bleeds to one thing?
What do you want to do specifically?
Okay, because I'm licensed in Florida and
Yeah,
Georgia.
do you have both property searches on your website?
They're both, the way Keller has them set up, they're different. I mean, I have to click from one state to
Yeah.
another state.
Right.
Can we set that up so everything bleeds to one somehow?
No, because the MLS doesn't allow commingling of data. So it's actually not Keller Williams that's restricting you, it's the MLS. So they say you can't put their data into our data. So unfortunately you have to have like 2 call to actions, one for Florida, one for Georgia. Yeah.
I want to do the map.
Okay, so this one y'all gotta need to talk to.
Those are your guys up
There.
there. So you guys have cards here?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Grab one here.
I can answer any questions too, but.
Feel free to drop off a card too.
Well, who do I talk to about the map?
You can talk to myself or Chris in the back. Chris is with WolfNet too. He got the day off today.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
He wanted me to be attacked from the fly.
At what point do we need to make a call on doing this or not doing this? Is this a
By
today
the-
thing or is this?
that's a good point actually. If you call any of our sales reps at the office, they won't be able to give you this special. So as long as Andrew's okay with it, we're heading out of here on Wednesday night. So by Wednesday, we would have to have that back in email or by fax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be someone following me tomorrow.
You okay with that, Andrew?
Yeah, that works, yeah.
And you got a card here?
Yep. Hey, and if you guys wanted to leave cards for that CNAME video too, that would be a good idea as well.
Yeah,
Setting up your domain properly.
Yes. I was with Z57
And,
for a while,
Yep.
say that
and I
word.
dropped them, and now my domain name is just, it's invalid, and I need to link it all back.
That's something that, when you do this package, we set up all that for you so you don't have to worry about it. So we'll set it up from beginning to end, all you have to worry about is, in 3 weeks, you would have a design consult with a designer to actually do the custom website, and then you just have to blow it from there and create some content.
Okay.
That's the one.
And we could just scan in, this sheet if we wanna do it and
Yep.
go from there.